Hello everyone, welcome to the second video in our um, looking at engineering graphics and solid modeling 1, a course with a course called GET102 taken at Joseph Sarwuan Tarka University, Makudi. This is particularly for my students, 100 level. Last week we started and we did look at design thinking. We defined what it was. We looked at the process of design thinking, and then we discussed engineering graphics, why it's important to engineers, and then we now began looking at the elements of engineering graphics and the different aspects of the graphic projection, sketching, and section views. And I had said that, yes, I know that Engineer Kwasambe had handled these quite extensively, but I felt it necessary to provide another layer of perspective on it before we go into the use of Fusion 360. So in this video, we will go into the use of Fusion 360. Okay, we will look at the user interface and the various aspects of it, and then we will jump and look at how to create basic 2D shapes and profiles, and then we will look at how to convert those two-dimensional profiles into 3D models. All right, so that's what we will do today. We will not start from where I usually start from, where I would introduce you to a company that created Fusion 360, how to register with them, how to have your own license, because they offer free educational licenses to tutors and students. I will not go through how to download the software and all of that. Okay, we'll just jump straight into its use. So this is the user interface. This is what you will see when you start up the software after installing it. Okay, Fusion 360 is a 3D modeling software. All right, it's used for the modeling, the creation of digital prototypes, which is what we call modeling, geometrical modeling of three-dimensional products, three-dimensional components, shapes, and the like. Okay, there are a couple of software out there that do that, including AutoCAD. Well, AutoCAD is not a three-dimensional modeling software. It's just a generic, very generic computer-aided design software. But you have Autodesk Inventor, you have SolidWorks, you have CATIA, you have Blender. Okay, all those ones are 3D modeling softwares, and they can also be used for animations. Well, Blender can. These ones not necessarily. Okay, so we are looking at Fusion 360. The peculiarity with Fusion 360 is that you work online. So if you look at that icon there, if I click it, you will see that I'm working online. If I toggle that off, okay, let me zoom in so you see. Okay, so the job status is that I'm working online there. They're telling me that there's a new version of Fusion 360, but I wouldn't install that at the moment. But you can obviously see that I'm working online. You can toggle this off and work offline, but the the peculiarity and the beauty of Fusion 360 is you work online. So your files are saved online, right? It fosters collaboration and teamwork. So different persons from different places across the globe could work on the same project at the same time. Okay, when I show you the data panel, you'll see how all of this works, right? Also, it helps with space issues. Okay, you're working on very, very large files and you have limited physical storage spaces. You don't need to worry about that. Okay, I think the future of CAD software is that everything will be online, including processing resources. So now, when you want to install computer-aided design software, you need to look at the specifications, okay, the computational resources that your laptop or your PC has. Okay, what's the processor type and generation? what's its RAM size and speed, does it have a graphics card, okay, and all of that are needed to run computer-aided design software. Now, the future of those applications is that all of that will be hosted online. So irrespective of what your system looks like, so far as it can access the internet, irrespective of its own local computational resources, it is able to carry out very complex and very large designs online without having the resources locally. Okay, so like I said, you can toggle this up and work offline. Okay, so very quickly at the very top, you see you should see the title of the particular file that you've opened. Okay, this is untitled because it's a new file. That's why it's called untitled. It doesn't have a title. I haven't saved it. Okay, but it's going to be saved in Fado's Creative Hub. So you could have hubs, and let me zoom in there so you could see that. Okay, so there we go. You have something like hub where you have various persons working together on one project or various projects, and all the little files and all the various things they work on is saved in that hub. Okay, so I created a hub called Fado's Creative Hub. And when I go to data panel, you'll see more of that, and you can see the name of the software and the kind of license that is being run, Autodesk Fusion, and I'm running an educational license because I'm in education. Okay. Now, the first icon you see there is a grid of 9 little square boxes. That's what you call the data panel. It shows and hides the data panel. Now, when you click that, it opens up what is called the data panel, right? This is where all your projects are saved. You can organize what you're working on in projects and files and libraries and all of that. So you see that so far there are 4 projects in my recent data. So everything that I'm working on recently will come up in my recent data. Then there's the admin project, where if I have a group of persons who are leaders amongst my team and I grant those persons administrative privileges, then they would have access to the administrative project. Default project, that's what comes with Fusion. Once you start work, if you don't create a new project, everything gets to be saved in the default project, right? And then this is a project I created for your seniors. They did a course on Fusion 360 in the 200 level first semester at this session. So you see the course code there, MEE 201, and this was a practical assessment. So if I click that, or rather if I double click it, it opens up and you see all the files, right? So all the persons, as they worked, I added them to my hub and granted them access to this particular folder. So whatever system they were working on, whatever laptop they were working on, so far as they saved, it was saved automatically to this folder. And that's how I have access to it to assess their works. So that's the beauty of Fusion 360. It has that seamless collaboration and sharing of files. So we're going to go back to the home page for this. So you've got various other aspects of it, libraries, samples. Okay, if you want to do excuse me, I beg your pardon. If you would want to just understand how, or you want to learn how to use Fusion 360, you can look at the basic training folders where it provides samples that will help you and hands-on exercises that will help you learn how to use the various aspects of Fusion. Okay, and then you have CAM samples. Okay, computer-aided manufacturing. Another beauty with Fusion 360, it also has that seamless. So by the time I show you somewhere on the utilities, you'll see the ability to take the model you created and change it into STL files, where a 3D printer, for example, can 3D print the model that you created, or a CNC either milling or lathe machine can create various designs. So there are other samples there that you could learn from. That's the data panel. So I'm just going to click that X there to close the data panel. Now, there's also the quick access. Just after the data panel, then there is this whole bar here. It's called the quick access toolbar, where you have access to do tasks on files that you usually will repeat very often. For example, that's if you want to start a new file, if you want to save what you're working on, if you want to undo a series of actions that you've taken, if you want to redo, and then the home button. So that's the quick access bar. Now, here, I wouldn't go through all the others because of my time. In Fusion 360, we have different workspaces, okay? Just like you may have workshops where you do a particular thing in a given workshop, okay? You can have a wood workshop where you do all woodwork. You have saws, you have drilling machines that you can use for drilling wood. You will have a workbench, you have planes and the rest. All the tools and equipment that you would use, okay, in woodworking will be found in that workshop. And that will be very, very different from a metal workshop where you probably have welding equipment. You will still have some drilling equipment and all of that. You have lathes and the rest for turning purposes and all the tools and equipments that you find for a metal workshop. Okay, so in the same way, we have workspaces. Now, in this ribbon here, the very first box you see there is the point or the place where you change your workspace. There are a couple of the workspaces. There is a design workspace, which is what we're currently seeing, that has these tabs. We call these things tabs. They are a group of menus that are a collection of tools or commands that are used to do certain things. Every tab is divided into panels. Okay, a panel is a collection of similar tools used to do a particular thing. For example, I'm just going to zoom in here so we see this better. For example, under the solid tab, so you see that solid is highlighted blue and underlined. So that tells you that that's the tab that we are in, and all the panels you see belong to that tab. So you can see create, right? You can see create, you can see automate, you can see modify. If I just move it a bit, there's the assemble panel, there's the configure panel, there's the construct panel, there is the inspect panel, there's the insert panel, and then the select panel, right? Now, there are a couple of tools. For example, in the create panel, there are 6 of them, but there are way more, right? If we want to show the other tools, then we have to click on the drop-down menu. So I'm going to have to take that back. So when I click on that, then you see all the tools, right, that are there in the create panel beyond the 6 that you see up there. All of these are used in creating various 3D models, either from existing 2D profiles, which is what this set of tools here does, or do, I beg your pardon, what this set of tools do, or you are creating 3D models from primitive 3D shapes, okay? A box, a cylinder, a sphere, a torus, a coil, a pipe, okay? You could have these primitive shapes that give regular 3D shapes that you can use in creating your shape if what you intend to do are one of these, okay? And the rest, okay? And then you also have the automate panel where you are able to generate design automatically, okay? Using geometries that you have. It's okay, between this geometry and this geometry, create something here that does that. It will automatically model something for you. Then you have the modify panel. The modify panel, what it does, it has a collection of tools that modify an existing 3D model, okay? So you can put fillets on the shapes. You can do all of those. We'll do a little bit of this today before this video runs out, and the rest of them, okay? So those are panels. Now, As you go from tab to tab, sometimes the groups of panels may stay the same, but the tools will differ. So for example, when you come to surface, you are dealing with objects that are made up of surfaces only. For example, a football is a surface product, okay, because inside is empty. So you just have a surface that is a sphere, okay. If you find a tank, a water tank, you could consider that as a surface uh, product or component because um, the inside is hollow. Okay, so you have all these various tools again arranged in the different panels, okay, for working on such or components or models. Now I'm going to jump mesh. I'm coming back to mesh shortly. Sheet metal is for working with sheet metal. Okay, so when you have, I use tank for example. If I have a cuboidic tank, a tank that is like a box, right, and is made from metal. Usually, that metal is first cut. There is a development, okay, that is cut in such a way that when you fold up that metal and you weld the edges together, you would have the tank. Okay, so all of those kind of designs, developments, and everything having to do with sheet metal and all of that is done under the sheet metal tab. There you go. Plastic also has to do with different plastics, particularly when you're going to 3D model, 3D print stuff and the rest. So here we are in utilities. You see some of make. Make is where you do your 3D print. Okay, so okay, it struggles to zoom in when I have a drop down menu open. All right, and the rest of them are there. So you will notice I'm not taking time to explain in details because of my time and the fact that this is an exam focused video. Great. Now, having done that, if we move into this white space here, this is your work space. Okay, this is your design space. This is where all you're doing will be located. Okay, all your models, everything is here. Now you notice that it has grids for ease of referencing and positioning. Okay, you can toggle it off, and I'll show you how to in a bit. Okay, now on the left here, there's something you can see the heading called the browser. Okay, the browser has a collection of settings for the file that you're working and the model that you're working on. Okay, so when I save this, the title or the name of the file or the model will be indicated there. Now it's unsaved, as you can see. Let me zoom in a bit so you can see. Now it's unsaved. Okay, you can see that icon, the icon where my cursor is just covering. Okay, if you click on that, you have the ability to hide or show that particular model that you have worked on. Document settings is where you change your units. Okay, there are different units that you can work with. Usually we deal with two basic units, and I'll demonstrate very quickly in this video how to work on those. You have the metric system of units, which is the one we are used to, the meters, the kilograms, and the seconds for time, right? And then the subunits of these, for example, millimeters. In Fusion 360 and Inventor 2, when we click the metric system, we usually would work in millimeters. Okay, you can change all of those in the document settings there. And then you have the imperial or the English system of units that works in inches, in pounds, measures forces with pound force, and the rest. And then you have named views where you can save certain perspectives to the model or certain views to the model that you are creating. And then the folder called origin has a list of all the work features, okay, that are used on for your model. Now, work features are the origin, the axis, and the planes. Okay, that give reference and form to the 3D space that you are working in. Okay, so if I drop this down, you will see those. So that's the origin. As I hover over it, notice what happens somewhere at the middle. That's where the origin is, and O comes up there. That's the X. You see that blue line somewhere in the middle of the screen. Just be keep your eye here. As I hover over that, see that's the X-axis. Now that is the Y-axis going upwards, and that's the Z-axis. Now this plane, that plane there, that's the XY plane bounded by the X and the Y-axis. That flat plane there is the XZ plane bounded by the X-axis and the Z-axis, and then finally the YZ plane. Now when you want to sketch, sketches of two-dimensional profiles and shapes are drawn on planes. You would have to select the plane on which you want to sketch or draw. We'll be demonstrating that in a bit. Now, this box, this cube at the top right hand corner here is called the view cube. View. And view is spelled V-I-E-W, to view, the view cube. Okay, now it helps or allows the user to change the orientation of the model of the workspace. Okay, it allows them to view the model they're working on from different angles. Now this is the home position. Anytime you click home, that icon there, you come back to this view that you have. So for example, if I want to look at the right side, I'm going to click that, and you see that it has turned the workspace, and I'm looking at it from the right hand side, right? If I click home, it takes me back to the home view, as it were. If I want to look at the front, I click there, and then it gives me the front view of the model. Now it looks quite vague, but when we begin to create models, you see what we mean. You can also hold the view box and drag, okay, to orientate or swivel your workspace in whatever form or direction that you would like to. Okay, let me go back to the home. Okay, now that's the view cube. Now here is where you have what you call the navigation bar. Okay, where it's a collection of tools that help you navigate this workspace from the free orbit to look at, where you want to look at a particular face or thing, to pan. Pan helps you to hold, to move your workspace around, right? Okay, you can still do that same pan by clicking your wheel, the wheel on your mouse button down. Okay, you can do that, and then you have the zooms. Okay, and then the display settings, the grid and snaps settings. So if I click here, this is where you see that the layout grid has been ticked. If I untick that, let me zoom in a bit. I hope it does zoom in. It doesn't like zooming in on menus. Okay, if I untick this, the grid disappears. All right, if I tick it back, the grid reappears. Sorry for the background noise if you're hearing that noise. Okay, so now down here is what we call the history or the timeline. Okay, so when you begin to work on a model, everything you do, every action is logged, okay, in this history bar or the timeline. Okay, the timeline or the history bar. Okay, so what you do will be I'm going to come back a minute. All right, so this down here is your history bar or your timeline, where every action you take is logged, so you can go ahead and see how your model has developed over time in the course of its making. Now, so this is the basic interface that we have. We're going to take an exercise very quickly. So let's come back to our slide. Now, here you see an outer plate, part of an assembly of a given plate. or I mean of a yeah of a mounting plate. So this is the outer plate, and we're given the dimensions. We're going to first draw what we see. So you can see something that's like a rectangle, but it has fillets. Okay, all the corners or the vertices have been filleted. They are fillets for safety, beauty, and all of that. Okay, and then there's a big hole in the middle. As you're looking at that, you can see the tree, the isometric view of it there that shows you what we're dealing with. And then you have four holes at the corners, usually for where your boats will go in to mount. So we're going to draw this now. First, note that this is a primitive rectangle of size 150 by 80. Okay. Now, when you look at this label down here, it says metric, which means that these dimensions are in millimeters. Okay. So 150 by 80. Okay. And now do note also that this circle is bang on in the middle of this rectangle. So its center line is 75 millimeters from the edge, which is half of 150. And the horizontal center line is 40 millimeters from that top edge, which is again half of 80. So this circle is located right at the middle of the rectangle. The diameter of the circle is 44. Okay. Now, when we look at the these four circles, it's located 15 millimeters from the left of the vertical edge, and then 12 millimeters from the horizontal edge. And this is same for all four of them. Okay, it's same for all four of them. When you look here, the diameter of these little circles are 6.5 millimeters. Okay, times 4 here says there are 4 of these with the same dimensions. Okay, now our fillet have a radius. So these are things you must note, that diameter is shown with the Greek symbol phi. Okay, that's diameter. The radius is indicated with the capital letter R. So these fillets are done with radius. Now, in doing fillets, we can decide to do it in the 2D space, or we can decide to do it in the 3D space. I will demonstrate both of those very, very quickly. The thickness of this plate is 6 millimeters. So let's have those at the back of our minds. We'll come back to this again to check what it looks like if we forget any dimension. So let's come back to our Fusion 360 workspace. Now we want to start a drawing, right? That drawing, I'm going to need the Create Sketch tool. Okay, so this takes us into the sketch environment or the sketch mode, and you see a bunch of new tools or commands that will come up. So I'm going to click that. When I click it, the next thing I need to do is to select which plane. Remember, I told you that two-dimensional profiles and shapes need to be drawn on a plane because they are two-dimensional. And there are 3 basic planes. So the question is, which of these planes do I want to draw on? So I'm going to pick my XY plane. Now, if you look at the browser, when I hover over the plane, you see the one that is highlighted, the blue, that's the XY plane. Okay, so I'm going to click on this. Now, as I click on this, the plane will turn and face me directly. Notice that there is a new tab called the Sketch tab with a new set of tools that we did not see before. Okay, Create is still the same panel as we had before, but the tools here are quite different. You see tools that are used in creating two-dimensional shapes and figures and features. Okay, and then you have the Modify and the rest. Okay, now you do note that there's something called the sketch palette that comes up that controls the view, right, and several other options in this two-dimensional sketch plane, okay, or environment. Okay, so I need to draw a rectangle, right? I need to draw a rectangle first of diameter, of a length of dimensions 150 by 80. Now, this rectangle here is called the 2-point rectangle. Okay, I'm just going to zoom in so we'll see. Now, when you look at it, you see that there are two blue dots, one at the top left hand corner and the second at the bottom right hand corner. That indicates that to draw a rectangle, you first click, then drag your hand out towards your bottom or top, as the case may be, and click to draw this rectangle. But I want to see, is there any other tool for drawing a rectangle that will give me a center? Yeah, I've seen it. There is a center rectangle. The reason why I'm selecting that is because my model, this model has a circle at the center. So if I use the center rectangle, I will locate it at the center of the plane, right? And then in that way, I can easily locate the circle as well at the origin. So I'm going to pick a rectangle and I'm going to pick the center rectangle tool, right? And I'm going to come to the middle, okay? Click there and drag out. So as I'm dragging out, you can see the heads up display highlighted as orange, okay? The orange one, the dimensions are 43.09089 millimeters, right? What I want there is 80, so I'm going to type 80, okay? And then I press the tab key to jump to the other dimension, okay? For the second dimension, I want it to be 150, so I type 150 and that's it. So I can press enter on my keyboard and there I have that rectangle that is dimension 150 by 80, right? Now, I am going to select my circle tool, okay, my center diameter circle tool, look at it right there, to create a circle. So I'm going to select that. Now notice that when you select a tool, it's highlighted blue. So look at that, that's highlighted blue. That makes you know that you have the center circle tool selected, and anything you're going to do will be the creation of circles. So as the name implies, the center diameter circle tool indicates that the first place you click will be the center of the circle. Okay, so I'm going to go to the same center of the rectangle as I had, because the model I'm trying to create has a circle located at the center of the rectangle. So I come to the origin where the rectangle is centered. Click, just click and move out your mouse. You're not clicking and holding, right? You just click once and drag out. Now I know that the diameter of that circle is 44. So I impute the diameter and I can press enter to finish that circle. But I still want to draw 4 other circles, so I pick that, right? Now I'm going to click anywhere towards the corner. I'm going to dimension it later, okay? The diameter of this circle was 6.5, right? 6, did I get it correctly? 6.5, yeah. Then I right click because I want to keep drawing that circle, so I'm going to repeat center diameter circle. That's just one. I come to this corner, I draw another one, just click and drag out 6.5, impute the diameter, right click and repeat center diameter circle, come down here, right click and drag 6.5, okay, right click and repeat center circle diameter. Now there are other ways of achieving this, right? Because these 4 circles are at the corners or the vertices of an imaginary rectangle. Okay, we could have used the pattern tool, or the rectangular pattern tool. I'm trying to find where it is here. It's not there. To create them. Okay, let me drop this down and see. It should be here. Okay, good. The rectangular pattern tool. I could have just drawn one circle, drawn a rectangle such that that circle sits at the vertex of that rectangle, and then use the rectangular pattern tool to create these 4 circles. We'll do that when you come in 200 level. So for now, we've got these 4 circles, but the dimensions have not yet are being fixed. So I'm going to right click, and I am going to OK to drop the center diameter tool. So I click on that to drop it. All right, so we will pick our dimension tool and dimension these guys. We've zoomed in, so we'll go to sketch dimension. Okay, we'll pick that from the create panel. Now, the distance from the center of these circles to the top, from there to the circle, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah, that distance was given to us as what? Let's check it. As 12. Okay, so we're going to make that 12, type 12 and press enter on my keyboard, right? And then the same to the distance of the bottom to the center of this circle, right? Should also be 12, but I want it to be the same with this, so I'm going to click that 12. So once I change this dimension, all of these guys will change as well. Okay, same thing, the distance from that top to this is what? Is also 12, right? And enter. And the distance from the bottom to this circle is also 12. Now, doing it this way allows for us to easily change all of these once by changing this dimension, right? So next thing, the dimension from this center of this circle to the vertical edge was what? Was 15. So type 15, right? Enter. Okay, and so I'll do the same thing for this and this, and I'm going to make that 15. Again, there are so many different ways of doing this, but for now, permit us to do it this way. Distance from that circle to this edge is that over constrained? Okay, it looks like there's a constraint. I placed that center on this diagonal, but that's not what I want. Anyway, I'll come back and delete that circle and do it again. So the distance from this circle to this is 15. Okay, it's 15. Enter. Okay, great. Now right click and escape there. Let's see. Where are my constraints? Constraints are shown. I'll just delete that circle completely. Okay, and create another circle. I'm not going to put it. The dimension, the diameter is 6.5. Enter. Right click and okay, I don't have my dimension there. I'm going to come to my create panel, select the sketch dimension tool, and select this circle and this edge. That distance is 15. Select 15. Okay, and then enter. And then the distance from the bottom to this is 12, so make it the same as that. Enter. Great. So there we go. We have this for. I'm going to right click and then just escape. Okay. Now we've finished creating this sketch. We can decide to do our fillet here or for time. So if I come to modify panel, you see the fillet icon. Okay, maybe I should do so that we'll see. So if I select the fillet icon, okay, it says I should first select the length. So I'm saying this length and this length should be the fillet. Now what's the radius that I want? If you look at this, it says a radius of 8. Okay, and so I'm going to put 8 there and enter. Okay, so again, my fillet tool, okay, I need to be right clicking and repeating so that it doesn't keep dropping. So I'm going to select this length and this length, and I want that to be the same as, okay, maybe I should just put my 8, and then I'll right click and repeat fillet. Okay, okay, this and this. There was a warning that came up. Did we see it? 8, right click and repeat fillet. Constraints and dimensions were removed. Okay, that's fine. This and this, and I'm making it 8, and I'm happy, so I press enter. Good. So there we go. I'm going to hide the dimensions. I'm going to go to the sketch palette and hide the dimensions, so, and also the constraints. Hide the constraints too, so you can see what we've created. All right, we'll see what we've created. So what we're going to do now is to finish this sketch. I'm going to finish this sketch. I believe that every dimension is there. I'm going to finish the sketch. Okay, so I'm back in my 3D space in the solid environment. That sketch tab has disappeared. Let me go to the home view so you look at how this looks. Now, to create a three-dimensional model out of this, I use this tool called extrude. Okay, extrude, that's the icon right there. Just look at it very closely. Let me bring it closer. Okay, this guy here is called extrude. Okay, the second one. The extrude tool, what it does is it takes a 2D profile and it sweeps it through a distance to create a volume. Okay, so it creates an object with the same cross-sectional area. So for example, so if I click on the extrude tool, right, you see the extrude palette comes up. The first thing I need to select is the profile. What do I want extruded, right? So I want this guy, but I don't want, so if I select that, that's just the middle. Oh, it's difficult to select it. Okay, now that's exactly what I want. Again, I need to go until I get it. If you see that blue stuff when it comes up, that's what I want highlighted. Good. So you see that it has left out the circles, right? That profile is what I'm selecting, and I'm extruding by, hey, yeah, I'm going to extrude by 6 millimeters. Sorry for that, I was struggling to locate this thing. So you see what happens, it takes that profile and extrudes it, moves it through a volume by the amount that you put in, which is 6 millimeters, right? And then I click on enter, and there you go. You find this shape just like this. Now I'm going to move this so you can see the way that one too is. So I'm going to hold the view cube and move it a little bit so you can see what we've created. All right, I believe that this explains a bit. So I'm going to save this. Let me show you how to save. To save, I've clicked Control and S on my keyboard, and then the save dialog box has come up. We'll give it a name, outer plate. Okay, and then I will save. So we've saved it as outer plate. Watch how the name of the document changes up there to outer plate. The name of the model here changes to outer plate. The name of the file here changes to outer plate version 0. Now let's come to the history. You see that first thing I did was create a sketch. Okay, then I extruded. Okay, I created a sketch and then I extruded, and we see that. Great. So that explains some of that. Okay, I'm going to start a new file very quickly and then draw something else. Okay, now look at this model now. We're going to draw this side and use a few other stuff. If you look at the bottom here, it says inches, inches. So we're going to be working in inches here. So I'm going to come back to my Fusion. This is here. I'm going to create a new file, Control and N on my keyboard, and then it creates a new file for me, okay, which is the file here. Now I'm going to go to document settings in the browser. This stuff here is the browser. I'm going to, as I hover over the units, which are millimeters and grams, you see that icon there that says change active units. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to come to the unit system here, drop down, and I will select inch and ounce mass, okay, and click on OK. So now I'm going to work in inches, okay. So again, I'm going to create a 2D sketch by clicking on create sketch. It now wants me to select the plane I want to sketch in. I will select, which plane should I select? Yeah, I'm going to select the what plane is this? Let me look at the origin. Drop that down. This plane is the YZ plane. So I'm going to click on that, and then it's going to reorientate it so that I'm facing it vertically or directly. Okay. Oh, I haven't clicked you. There we go. Great. Excellent. So let's zoom in a bit. Okay. Now, look at this shape now. Look at this shape. If we draw this shape this way and then extrude it along that length, right? The length of this shape is 12 inches. The height is 2 inches, right? When we extrude it by 6 inches inward. So if you look at the isometric view, the length from this edge all the way to that other edge is 12. The thickness of this model is 2 inches, and then the depth in is 6. So I'm going to draw this face, right, and then extrude it inwards, okay, extrude it inwards by that amount to give us this model. So I'm going to first draw a rectangle, right? I'm going to first draw a rectangle of size 12 inches by 2 inches, okay? Then if I look at these holes, there's a distance of 10 inches between them. That's this. So there are also 4 holes here where the distance between them is 10. So that means that the distance from this hole to the edge is 1, right? Because 12 minus 10 is 2, and then you divide that into 2 parts, 1 on the left, 1 on the right, okay? So 1 inch here, okay? So it therefore means that the distance of the center of this semicircle from this edge is going to be 1 plus 2.75, which will give us 3.75, and that's the same on both sides, right? And then if you sum all of that, you see that all of that should still give you 12. So 1 plus 1 on this side, that's 2, plus 2.75 will be 4.75, plus 6.75, that will be 7.5, will it be? 7.5, yes. And then when you add 4.5 to that, you'll have 12 exactly. Okay. This semicircle here has a radius of 1 inch for both of these guys. Okay. So let's go and quickly draw it and see. So coming here, I'm going to use this center circle tool. I'm sorry, I beg your pardon. I'm going to use the 2-point rectangle tool. I will click on one point and drag it upwards. Okay, the height was 2 inches. I'm going to press tab on the keyboard, and then the width was 12 inches, and I'm going to press enter. Now there's something called constraints. Constraints define the relationship between various features on your drawing. Now, when I come to constraints here, there are constraints, two constraints here called vertical and horizontal. If I draw a line and that line is slanting, but I want it to be vertical, then I pick the vertical constraint and click on that line and it becomes vertical. Okay. There is a coincident constraint. Coincident says the same point. Is that okay? The same point existing at the same point. I'm going to use that one very shortly. That takes two different points and aligns them to exist at the same point. Okay. Then you have the tangent constraint that picks a circle or a curve and a line, or it could be a circle and a circle, to say that these two lines, one is curved, one is straight, or both are curved, they touch each other but they do not cross each other. Okay, the principle of tangency. And then you have the equal constraint that will make the dimensions of two things equal. Okay, then you have the parallel constraint. Parallel means they are parallel. For as long as they go, they will never meet. Okay, so you can do that with two straight lines. And then the perpendicular constraint that will make one line to lie at 90 degrees to another. There are several other constraints. I'm going to drop down the menu so we see them. I've explained horizontal and vertical, coincident, tangent, equal, parallel, and perpendicular. You can ground, fix and unfix a constraint. Okay, you have the midpoint that finds the center of a thing. Concentric, you can have two circles, right, drawn separately, but you want them to share the same center even though the diameters are different. You click the concentric constraint and click both circles and they will stay together. Collinear, two lines align on the same line. Symmetry, curvature, polygon. So those are the various constraints that we have. I'm going to run through them again. Okay, there is a horizontal and vertical constraint, coincident constraint, tangent, equal, parallel, perpendicular, midpoint, concentric, collinear, symmetry, curvature, and polygon. All right. So now I've drawn this rectangle, but I want the midpoint of this rectangle. Now watch as I journey along this, you will get to, where is my midpoint? Okay, I have not seen the midpoint of this, so I'm going to click this and pick that point and find the midpoint of this. I have not created a point. Escape. Okay. Pick the coincident constraint. I hope it finds me the midpoint. Where are you, midpoint? Oh, okay. It has not found my midpoint for me, unfortunately. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a point. So I'm going to create a point, right, on this line. Okay, create that point on that line. Then I come to the constraints, I pick midpoint, and I'm going to click this line and that point. Okay, so you see that it has moved that line to where the midpoint, it has moved the point to the midpoint of the line. Okay, so now I can pick the coincident constraint and I say I want this point, which is now sitting at the middle of that line, to be coincident with the origin. It should be at the same point as the origin. Now watch what's going to happen in this whole rectangle. Is going to shift this way and sit on that line. Watch. There we go. Okay. So now the midpoint of the bottom line is sitting bang on at the origin. Right? So that's constraint. Now I need to draw circles. So I'm going to pick my circle tool and I will draw it on that line. The diameter of this circle is 1. Was it diameter or radius? Let's check. It was radius. Radius is 1, so diameter is 2. Okay, so I'm going to come back and correct that in a bit. But so let's pick the dimension tool and let me zoom in a bit. Click on that. Where is it? Double click on that. Where is my edit? Okay, escape. We'll have to repeat. Control Z. I'm going to repeat that circle. I beg your pardon. So I pick any point on the line. We're going to dimension this later. Click and drag out. The diameter is 2 because the radius is 1. Right click and repeat center diameter 2. I'm going to bring this a little bit this way and put the circle center again on that line. Move my mouse out and input 2 and press enter. Okay, so there we go. We have these 2 circles. Now we need to dimension them. So I am going to pick escape please. I'm going to pick my dimension tool and say the center of this circle to this one is so let's check what's the center to center is 4.5. So I'm going to come back here and this whole guy here is 4.5 inches and enter. Okay, now that means that the distance from the center to the edge, we found it to be 3.75. Don't forget. So we'll say this distance from that center to this edge is 3.75. Enter. So it moves both circles just to sit appropriately the way they should, right? Now that's it. But this doesn't have a circle that goes all round. This is a semicircle, right? So I'm going to use something called the trim tool. Okay, so if you come to the modify panel, you see the trim tool right there. Okay, I'm going to click on it. Okay, it will allow me to trim off parts of a given shape. So you see that that is turned red. If I click it, that part is going to be cut off. Okay, so you see it's trimmed it off, right? It's no longer there. It's no longer a full circle. I beg your pardon. It's a semicircle. Now there's also a line here that I don't want. So you see the red part as very distinct from the blue continuous line. I'm going to click on that and that also disappears and you see that shape has been created just like that. Again, I bring the trim tool here, trim off that part and I trim off this part, right? And there we go. We have the face of this just the way this guy is. So we're going to finish that sketch and extrude. Okay, so I'm happy with what I have. So I'm going to right click and OK to drop my tool, and then I'm going to come to the finish sketch tab there and click finish sketch, and here I am back in the 3D space. I'm going to click the home button so that we can see it very well. Now I'm going to select my extrude tool, right? And it says it has selected that profile for me already, and I'm extruding by 6. Okay, by 6. I want it actually to go in the opposite direction. So yeah, one side. Hey, okay, does it want me to flip? If I put a minus, it will go the other direction. Yeah, minus. Okay, good. It goes in the opposite direction, and I'm happy, right? That's what I want, so I'm going to OK. So there we go. Here you find that shape. Now what I'm going to do now is to apply fillet. There are fillets, okay? And what is the radius of this fillet? 1 inch on all 4 of them. So I'm going to select my fillet tool. Remember, we did fillet in the 2D space. Now we're doing it in the 3D space. In the 3D space, you go to the modify panel tool, select the fillet tool. For the 2D space, we had to select the adjacent sides where the fillet was formed. In the 3D space, you just select the edge, okay? So I'm going to come to this edge and I'm going to click that edge, and it's going to bring up a heads-on display. I'm going to click in 1, okay? That's that fillet there, right? And I'm going to right click and repeat fillet, right? And I'm going to click on this edge here, and I'm also going to give that 1, right? I'm going to move this down a little bit, right click and repeat fillet. Okay, repeat fillet. I'm going to come to this edge again, click on that and make it 1, right click and repeat fillet. And I'm going to come to this edge and click here and I'm going to make it 1, right? And I'm going to right click and say OK. There we go. Look at that. Okay, so we're almost there, but we have these 4 holes. Okay, we have these 4 holes here at the corners, such that the diameter of each of the holes is 0.61 inches. All right, and then the distance between them is 10. So between that one is 4, which, like I said, that means that this distance here is 1 and that one is also 1. Okay, just the way that. So I'm going to draw a sketch on this face. So I hover over this face. Look at how it gets highlighted to show that I'm on that face. I'm going to right click and create sketch. Okay, look for the option that says create sketch. So I'm going to rotate this to face me, right? So what I want is circles. So I pick that circle. I come somewhere here. I click and the diameter of the circle is 0.61. Okay, right click and I repeat center diameter circle. I'm going to come to this way as well, click and drag out. The diameter is 0.61. Right click and repeat that. Okay, come down here, do the same thing, click and drag out 0.61, right click and repeat and do the same thing here, 0.61. okay, and then we enter. So there we go, we have those 4 circles, but we must dimension them. So I'm going to pick the sketch dimension, zoom in a bit so we can see what's going on here, right? So I'm going to pick this circle and this circle. Distance between them, that's 4. Bang on 4, that's what I want. 4 and enter. Okay. Then the distance from that circle to I can't see, I've not projected. Do I have a project on this face? Escape, right? I need to project that image up. Let's see. Yes, I have project. So I'm going to select on project. I want to project, project that face up so that I can see the edges, and I'm going to do the same here and project this one too, right? Those are the 2 I want. Okay, now the reason why I projected is so that I can have access to these features and dimension. So now I can pick my dimension tool, click on this circle. Now I can select this edge, whereas I couldn't do that before, right? And the distance is actually bang on 1, so I will just click that and I'm happy. 1, enter. Great. So that settles that side of things. I could as well click this and this, and I want that dimension also to be 1 exactly. Okay, I'm going to pick my horizontal and vertical constraint. I want this point and this point to be horizontal, so it has done that for me. Okay, now I'll go back to my dimension, sketch dimension tool. I pick this circle and this circle, and I want it to be 10. Okay, 2 of those guys there is 10, and I enter. Okay, and let me zoom in a bit so we can see what's happening down here. Then I pick this and that line, and I want this to be 1. Okay, so that settles it. So no, I don't need that because I've dimensioned the other side. Okay, but then I need this and this should be 4. Should be 4. Enter. Okay. Then this and this should be 1. Okay, that's driven as well, so I don't need that. Let me make sure that these two guys are horizontal, and they are. Okay, great. So I have finished dimensioning this. So I'm going to finish sketch by clicking on finish sketch. Then it should bring me back to the 3D space. Let's click the home view. So it brings us here. Now I want to create holes through this, right? So I'm going to look at the hole tool. Look at that tool there called the hole tool. When I select it, it should select. Okay, I'm going to select first. What's the face? That's the face, and selecting this face too. Can I select multiple faces? No, just one face. So one face selected. What's the reference? Okay, let's zoom in. That's the reference. So I've drawn circles already. I beg your pardon. I'm going to escape. The hole tool, if we want to use the hole tool, all we needed to do was to create points. Now that we've created circles, we use the extrude tool and then we cut. So sorry about that. Select this. I select this. I select this. I select this, right? Now what I want is to cut. Okay, so what I want is for it to cut and go down. Extend time through all. So create that through all. The direction, flip direction. Good. So you can see that the whole goes all the way down, and I'm happy with that, so I'm going to OK it. So you see that this is exactly what you see here, right? If I should hold my view Q and orientate it, you see the hole going all the way through. Great. So we're going to stop here for this video and indeed for this class. Hopefully you would have learned a few things. When you come into 100 level, for those of you in mechanical engineering, sorry, not for the rest of us, for those of you in mechanical engineering, we'll take it from there and move forward. Thank you, and God bless you.